Okay, so in this playlist, we're going to be factorising, and we're going to be factorising expressions that go into double brackets. If you have not learned about expanding double brackets, you really should do that for this to make proper sense. So we're going to start off looking at this type. What I mean by this type is where x squared is by itself. It doesn't have like a number in front of it, but there might be a number in front of the x, and there might be a number at the end as well. So I've said here, let's recap expanding double brackets. And what I've done is I've actually written, here are the questions. I've actually worked out all of the answers for these 6 questions that I've got here. And what we're going to try and do is see if we can spot a connection between the purple numbers and the orange number, and the purple numbers and the green number. And we want to see if it works for all of them that we've got here. So pause the video, see if you can think to yourself, how do the purple numbers relate to the orange number in all of these questions? And how do the purple numbers relate to the green number in all of these questions? You might have noticed this pattern before when you were expanding double brackets, but the way that they relate is that the middle number, the orange number, which is the middle one, this number is the sum of the purple numbers. And that works for all of them, right? 2 and 3 adds to 5. Sum just means add up. 5 and 2 adds to 7. 3 and 10 adds to 13. 5 and minus 2 adds to positive 3. Minus 7 take away 3 is minus 10. And minus 10 plus 2 is minus 8. So that middle number is the sum of the purples. And then the green one, I'm hoping that you've spotted that the green one is a result of these two numbers, the purples being multiplied. So the green one is the product. Product just means the result of a multiplication. The product of the purples. So 2 times 3 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 10 is 30, 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, negative 7 times negative 3 is 21, positive 21, and negative 10 times 2 is negative 20. So what this means is when we have a quadratic that looks like this, we want the b number. We want to think of two numbers which sum to b, or I'm just going to say which add to b. So we want them to add to this number, and we want them to multiply, if I can spell it right, and we want them to multiply to that number. Because what factorising actually means is we're going to now try and go from an expression that looks like these ones with the orange and the green, and we're going to try and write them as double brackets. Factorising means taking something and putting it back into brackets. So we're going to do that process in reverse. So here's what I've written. To factorise a quadratic, find the pair of numbers with a product of the constant, which is this thing that we have here, the constant, with a sum of the x coefficient. So let's just quickly clarify what I mean by that. X squared plus bx plus c. The x coefficient is b, the plus b, and the constant that we have is the plus c that we have at the end. Now, quick side note, if you tried to factorise this using your normal factorising skills, you would go, oh great, I can factorise an x out of these, but you can't factorise an x out of that, so there's kind of like nothing you can do. So that's not what we want to do for this. And so that's why we have to factorise this thing into double brackets. So we are going to try and think of two numbers which multiply to give 12. We want them to multiply, I'm just going to say that means I want them to multiply to give 12, and I want them to add to give the middle number, which is 7. So let's just quickly think for the number 12, the two numbers that multiply to 12, we can either have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. Well, the pair that are going to add to 7 are the 3 and the 4 that we've got down here. So when I write this as brackets, they're always going to be a bracket that looks like this. The numbers that we're going to say are 3 and 4. Well, because they are positive numbers, it's positive 3 and positive 4. We can check it works. 3 times 4 is 12, 3 plus 4 is 7. Always look at the multiplying one first, you're going to find it a bit easier. Okay, so we're going to think of two numbers. We want them to multiply to give 6, and we want them to add to give 7. So thinking about the number 6, it's either going to be a 2 times 3 or a 1 times 6. Well, the 2 times 3 adds to 5. The 1 times 6, 1 and 6 is going to add to 7. So that means when I factorise this, it's going to be the same format with these brackets. It's going to be an x and an x. It will be a plus 1 and a plus 6. Obviously, we could just write this as an x plus 6 and an x plus 1. Either way round is perfectly accepted for this. So I'm going to do some examples here where all of the numbers are going to be positive, so there's only going to be plus signs, and then we're going to have a look at some of them where there are some negatives coming up as well. Okay, so for this example, we want two numbers that multiply to give 8 but add to 6. So for 8, we can either have 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. So I think the 2 and the 4 are going to be the ones that add to 6. So it's going to be an x plus 2 and an x plus 4. So we want them to multiply to 16, but I want them to add to 10. So 16, I could have 1 and 16, 2 and 8, or I could have 4 and 4. Okay, well the ones that add to 10 are 8 and 2. So I can say x plus 8, x plus 2. Remember, you can always expand your answers using the previous stuff that you might have studied about expanding double brackets. You would get this. Oh, I've made a terrible mistake. I put x. It's not x in this question. We're talking about a. So I'm going to replace that with a. Just make sure you're following the same letters that we have. Okay, looks like that standard kind of quadratic. This time it's with a y, so I'm not going to make the mistake. I'm going to put y in the brackets straight away. I want two numbers that multiply to give 50 but add to 15. Well, you could do 1 times 50, 2 times 25, you could do 5 times 10. Oh yeah, 5 times 10. That's going to be the pair that adds to 15, so it's going to be plus 5 and plus 10. This time we've got the letter D, so I'm going to put D inside the brackets, and I want them to multiply to 25, but add to 10. There's only 1 and 25, or 5 times 5, so 5 times 5 it's going to be D plus 5, D plus 5. Now think to yourself, I wonder if there is another way that I could write this. Well, there is. You could write this as D plus 5. When you multiply it by itself, you could write it as D plus 5 squared. Okay, this one's maybe a little bit trickier. I need to think of two numbers that multiply to 72, but add to 22. Well, it could be 1 and 72, but not very likely. 2 and 36, 3 and 24, 4 goes into 72. Oh, it's going to be 4 times 18. So you're going to spend some time thinking very carefully about these. And I can stop there actually, because 4 times 18 is 72 and 4 plus 18 is 22. So it's going to be my x plus 4 and my x plus 18. So it's harder when the number is bigger because there's way more factors, but you can just sort of go straight to it. 4 times 18 is 72, and 4 plus 18 is 22. Okay, this one is just written in a different order. So you might like to write it in the standard order where you have the squared part first, then the x part. Oh, that shouldn't say 13x. That should actually just say 36 here. I'm going to just change that one here. So that wouldn't be in the right place. It should have said plus 36. It is x squared plus 13x plus 36. You always have the squared, then the x, and then the constant. So we're thinking of two numbers that multiply to 36, but they add to 13. So we could do 36 and 1, but that's not going to work. We could do 2 times 18. That doesn't work. 3 times 12. That doesn't work because that adds to 15. And 4 times 9 is 36. Oh yeah, 9 and 4, that adds to 13. So when I put them in the brackets, I'm going to say that it's x plus 4 and x plus 9. Okay, let me just quickly change the colour of all of this working out so it looks slightly less confusing. Let's colour that and just do it in like a purple colour. So you've got some questions that you're going to have a go at on this page here. Remember, if they're like this, you want to write them in a slightly different order. So I want you to try factorising these ones. They're all going to be positives in your brackets. Okay, so here I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply to 15 and add to 8. The numbers are 3 and 5, x plus 3, x plus 5. Remember, you could write these entire brackets switched around if you wanted to, and it's still correct. Two numbers that times to 7, multiply to 7 but add to 8. It is x plus 1 and x plus 7. Two numbers that multiply to 18 but add to 9. Okay, let's just quickly write this down. I could say that it could be 2 times 9, that doesn't work. Oh yeah, 3 times 6, that works. So it's going to be y plus 3, y plus 6. Okay, two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 12. I saw that one very quick. 10 times 2. They multiply to 20 and they add to 12. Okay, 36. 36 got loads of factors, so I usually like to write them down. Well, it could be 1 times 36, it could be 2 times 18. Oh yeah, that's going to work, because 2 and 18 makes 20, so it's y plus 2, y plus 18. 90, okay, I think I can spot this one pretty quick. I think 90 is going to be 9 times 10. So we're going to get c plus 9 and c plus 10, because, yeah, 9 and 10 makes 19. Now this one we might want to write in the normal order, so that's x squared plus 20x plus 100. Two numbers that multiply to 100 but add to 20. Well, 100 I guess could be 1 and 100, that doesn't work. 2 and 50, 4 and 25. It could be 5 and 20, or it could be 10 and 10. So the only one that works where they when they add to 20 is 10 and 10. So I'm going to write this as x plus 10, x plus 10, or you could write that as x plus 10 squared. This one needs rewriting into the correct order, so that's y squared plus 27y plus 72. And we're going to think of two numbers that multiply to 72. Now I did them on the previous page, we want them to add to 27. The ones that look like they're going to add to 27, yeah, it's 24 and 3. So it's going to be 24 and 3, y plus 24 and y plus 3. All of these ones, this is just kind of the standard way that people write them, with a letter and then a number. Of course, you could write this as 24 plus y and 3 plus y. It's exactly the same thing, because it doesn't matter which order you multiply, you add these things, you do get the same thing. But this is just kind of the traditional way that people would write these ones out. So in the next one, we're going to be doing it where there are positives and negatives, which is definitely more challenging than this. Found this video helpful? Then why not drop it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like the next video in the playlist, you can click here to be taken straight to it. And as always, wishing you the very best for all your studies.